DGCA alerts airlines operating Boeing 737s over potential risk in jammed or restricted rudder control systems. Nestle India appoints former Amazon India head Manish Tiwari as the new MD to take over from Suresh Narayan in August 2025. Exit polls of two key states, Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, are out. Congress looks like a winner in the heartland of Haryana, whereas either the Congress-led India Alliance or win or a hung assembly is predicted for Jammu and Kashmir. Former Tata Sons chairman Ratan Tata dispels rumours about his health, takes to social media to say that his spirits are high and that there is no cause for concern. Israel and Hezbollah exchange move fire ahead of the first anniversary of the Hamas attack as the Middle East conflict widens. Well, good evening and welcome. You're watching Profit 360 on NDTV Profit, and I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. First up, of course, we take a look at what's happened on Dalal Street today. Well, the markets extended their losing streak to the sixth day, closing at 1 month lows. All sectors, barring IT, ended in the red, with the media and PSU banks falling over 3% each. Neeraj Shah joins in with a quick look at what happened on Dalal Street.
Not the best of days if you're a bull, though there was a spark in between in the last half an hour of trade, but it got sold into really. So the market is looking iffy, and in today's session too, down about 1%, but the mid caps and the small caps really bore the brunt of the fall. I mean, look at what happened to the small cap space. 2% down for the mid cap space, the small caps down nearly over 3% at a point of time, but nearly 3% right now as well. And the market breadth was left little to be desired, really. Look at the Nifty 50, for example, and the stocks out there. Save for a few IT names and an odd Bharti Airtel and maybe a Trent, yeah, most of the other stocks ended in the red. Reliance Industries down about 1%. HDFC Bank had a weakness as well. So the two heavyweights participated, and then everything from an infra name, so Adani Ports, to a PSU set of names, Bharat Electronics, Coal India, NTPC. I think that CPSE ETF holders would also be crying, because I think that index would have come off quite strongly today. The broader end of the spectrum, the story was no different. I mean, look at the BSE 500 winners and losers. Very few winners, really, and a lot of losers. I mean, look at that. Finolex a case in point separately. Otherwise, 3-4%, that's the kind of gains. But the smattering that the broader end of the spectrum took, I mean, from a Rail Vikas to Bombay Burma to Jubilant to Lloyds Metal, sugar name Sri Renuka, HFCL down on the 7%. It's looked very, very shaky, the current set of things. The question only is, can it improve? Because remember, viewers, India is the lone ranger of sorts which is getting punished within the Asian landscape. Everything from a Japan to a Nikkei to a ASX, which is Australia, or Chinese markets are all doing well. India is getting beaten down, maybe because of rising crude prices, maybe because of geopolitics, and maybe because of local state election worry as well. So 3 or 4 reasons which could be impacting the market mood currently. Will this be long-lived? Difficult to say that. But for now, it doesn't seem like it will turn on a dime just the very next day. So, yeah, for now, definitely will help to stay light on the trading positions.
Well, as volatility continues to dog the markets, analysts are still confident of India's long-term growth story. Here's Kungo of ANZ Research talking about it.
India macro story is still very, very positive from a long-term perspective. But, we have to acknowledge the Indian equity market had a very good run, particularly when China and the Chinese economic outlook was under a cloud. So we've seen a lot of inflows having gone into India, not only on the equity side, but importantly on the bond side as well, due to index inclusion. Now, we're starting to see interest returning to China, particularly around the equity market, because of the stimulus measures that was announced 2 weeks ago. And the strong rally in the Chinese equity market, coupled with low valuations and basically the world being underweight China, is starting to see a bit of that rotation happening right now. Now, there's still a lot of uncertainty, I would say maybe skepticism on some part around whether or not the Chinese stimulus measures this time will really move the needle.
Now, in fact, another market voice, Helios Capital, Samir Arora, told NDTV Profit that the current exodus of FPIs to China is a temporary one. He feels India is solid in the long term still.
But in a short period of time, some hedge funds, some people who were caught on extreme underweight or short in China may be doing it. So I think it's a fleeting trade. It doesn't change the long-term attraction, maybe of both. But I don't think one is at the cost of the other. In fact, India is in absolute terms, maybe not in relative terms, better off if China and all do somewhat well. Because one criticism of India was that our Indian market valuation premiums to emerging markets have gone up a lot, to Asia, ex-Japan valuations. And a large part of that was triggered by the fact that China was doing very badly. And second thing is, if all other markets are doing well, that is US is clearly doing well and China also is doing well, then there is less reluctance on the part of the Indian mutual fund managers sitting on cash. Because if the world is up, we are unlikely to be down. We may be less up.
So what are the sectors that market watchers are betting on? Well, here's Rahul Arora of Nirmal Bang Institutional Equities talking about the sectors that he feels confident about.
If the metals index and if China continues to be a huge producer and consumer of commodities, we are price takers. So from a macro standpoint, going back to your earlier question on the MPC, this could actually end up being inflationary for us if we have to import commodities and commodity prices are going up. That being said, I think for companies and sectors in India that have pricing power and are able to use that to their advantage, we'd be more comfortable looking at those kind of stocks and sectors. Now, just to put it into perspective, price hikes in India are not a very sustainable thing. And we've seen that in the case of cement as well. There are always price hikes and rollbacks. But I think all things said and done, I think steel is not a bad place to be, considering all that's happening in India with respect to capex and the kind of demand that we're talking about with respect to infrastructure, with road sports and all of that. I think steel may not be a bad place to be. I think Tata Steel has tried to do what it's doing with in terms of deleveraging its balance sheet over a period of time. Of course, the debt number is still very, very high, but they've been trying to do what they can.
Well, Vodafone Idea hit a 52-week low on reports that the Department of Telecommunications has issued a notice against the company over spectrum dues. Rucha has more.
The Vodafone Idea has slumped in trade today because media reports claim that the Department of Telecommunications has issued a notice to the company because of its failure to issue bank guarantees with respect to its dues prior to 2022. Now, these reports also claim that these bank guarantees were set to be submitted in September this year and amounted to around 24,700 crore rupees, which the company has failed to do so. Now, remember that Vodafone Idea has around 70,400 crore in spectrum dues to be paid to the government, which with the first tranche of payment beginning from September 25, that is September next year. Now, Vodafone Idea has had earlier approached to the Department of Telecommunications as well for seeking waiver of such kind of bank guarantees, and even the ministry met with the Department of Telecommunications to consider waiving the requirement of bank guarantees by all the telecom companies, but for dues after 22. So this has not actually happened and nothing has been concluded out of the meeting, and that is why the department has sent a notice for failure to submit bank guarantees by Vodafone Idea. Now, talking about Vodafone Idea's performance, well, it has been down around 15% over the last 6 months and has been continuing to disappoint the investors.
So more trouble for Vodafone over there. Thank you very much for joining us on that. Now, moving on, another roadblock has been cleared for the National Stock Exchange in its IPO journey. The NSE has settled a case involving alleged violations in the trading access point with SEBI. NSE, in fact, is paying a settlement amount of 643 crore rupees. And Charu joins in with more on this. Hi, Charu. Take us through what this could now mean for NSE in its hopes to launch an IPO.
Hi Nupur. So this is a very positive news for the National Stock Exchange as trading access point, which was a 2008 rule that was brought in by the National Stock Exchange, which allowed its employees to basically understand what kind of transaction fees can be levied. They had not put in remedial measures to avoid some sort of misuse of this feature that the stock exchange had brought in. So because of this default on their part, because of them not being able to bring in these remedial measures, the market regulator SEBI had said that this is in violation of security law violations and had made some allegations. Now, in order to settle these allegations, National Stock Exchange requested that these be settled with an amount of a whooping amount of rupees 643 crores, which the regulator has agreed to. Now, this is positive because in a recent past, the co-location case, which was the biggest roadblock for NSE IPO, was also cleared without any further directions because of the lack of evidence. Apart from this, the regulator had also allowed the exchange to file for a new, fresh, no objection certificate for its IPO approval. Now, this was done after Delhi High Court case, which had asked for an expedited NSE IPO approval. So, with all things done, it seems like a very good news for the exchange, and all seems to be good.
Thank you very much for joining us with those details. Well, Ola Electric tanked in trade today. Shares have fallen below the listing price, and this possibly seems to be triggered by the feud between comedian Kunal Kamra and Ola Electric founder Bhavish Agarwal on social media platform X. Now, the feud was about the company's facilities and services, and Puneet joins in for more on this. So, hi, Puneet. Now, what's the reason for the drag that we are seeing? Is part of it because of the social media tussle we've seen?
This issue price, the current price of Ola Electric is now down below the first day listing gains of the company. So that was around 91 to 92 rupees. So that's for the first time that it's breached this benchmark as well. And there are a multitude of factors that's affecting the company. And the largest center of it is the service center issue that we've spoken about. Now, we did put out a very extensive story on our YouTube channel as well. So do go check it out. But currently the company operates roughly around 500 service centers. And these centers are not being able to turn around the scooters faster. So according to our research, there is roughly 20 to 25 days that a scooter is there at the service center, and this turnaround time is really slow compared to what the company sold in the last 3 years, roughly about 7 to 7.5 lakh scooters. So the pressure on these service centers is the key issue here, and that's affected the growth momentum as well. So if you look at the last 3 months sales of the company is down from roughly about 41,000 that the company sold at the back of June, in July, sorry, and in September the company sold roughly about 24,000 of scooters. And it's important to note the growth percentage. It was doubling or growing more than 100% for the first 4 months of this fiscal year. You can see that the growth has moderated now to 30 to 35%, and in September also that was the case as well. This has of course led to the company losing market share as well. At the end of September 2024, the market share of the company was roughly about 27%, and this is down from 46% that the company reported in the end of June. So just in these 3 months, it has lost a lot of market share, and that has been a gain for someone like a Bajaj Auto, which has almost doubled its market share from roughly 10 to 11% to around 21%, while TVS Motors has been able to maintain its market share of around 20%. Also take a note that Ather's market share increased as well from 8% to about 14% now. So it's become extremely more competitive, led by all these companies launching lower price variant scooters, and that's definitely reflected in Ola's market share being affected. Now, while we have spoken of the issues, what is the company looking forward to as well? And so should you. HSBC had written a note. It had initiated coverage and then it's followed up. They have a target price maintaining it at 140 rupees per share, and they seem that these issues are transitionary and expect the company to come out of them in the next few months. They also said that Ola is currently offering an 8-year warranty on the battery, or roughly about 80,000 kilometers on the same at no extra cost, while the company has also launched the Boss initiative, which is basically the biggest Ola season sale, launching the lowest 2 kilowatt battery scooter at just about 80. So
all right, now car inventory levels have climbed to an all-time high due to aggressive dispatches by car makers ahead of the festive season, as per FADA, or the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association. Now we have Tushar Deep Singh with us, and he has a detailed explanation of the numbers. Tushar, take us through the numbers, please.
FADA put out its numbers today, and it pointed out that the inventory levels for cars are now at a record high of about 80 to 85 days, or 79,000 crore rupees of unsold stock, which is also equivalent to 7.9 lakh cars that are languishing in stockyards as on 30th September. Remember, the number is crucial because at 8 lakhs, the inventory is about a fifth of the total volumes that the car industry did last fiscal. So essentially, the gap between, but what is exactly happening is that the car makers are continuing to dispatch vehicles to dealerships despite a decline in sales in the month of September. Very quickly, a look at the sales figures for the month of September. PV sales are down nearly 20%. Two-wheeler sales are down nearly 8.5%. Three-wheeler sales are marginally up, but CV sales are also down by about 10.5%. This decline can be largely attributed to the fact that September was an auspicious period to buy vehicles. The month is called Shraddh. There was no fillip to sales, so to speak, from the festivals of Onam as well as Ganesh Chaturthi. So essentially, the biggest story, however, is the inventory bit. 8 lakh vehicles at dealerships. Basically, we can say that it's from the point of view of stocking ahead of the festive season, that has happened, but still from a normal inventory of about 65 to 70 days ahead of a festive season, it's still larger by about 15 days.
All right, Tushar, thank you very much for joining us with those details. And just a quick reminder, watch the big story at 6 p.m. this evening as we decode FADA's data on high inventory levels and the possible reasons behind it. Well, the Indian aviation regulator, the DGCI, has alerted airlines operating the Boeing 737 jetliners over potential risks related to the rudder control systems. NDTV's Vishnu Shom joins in with more details.
Well, this is a very major alert sounded by India's aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation. It concerns Indian Airlines operating the Boeing 737 aircraft. Akasa operates it, SpiceJet does, as also Air India Express, also the Indian Air Force. The regulator has warned of a potentially jammed or restricted rudder control assembly. Now, a rudder control assembly is a primary mechanism that controls movement of the aircraft. The regulator has asked all of these airlines to conduct a safety risk assessment and also to cease operating certain modes of the instrument landing system. What is the instrument landing system? It enables accurate landing. It is particularly useful during bad weather conditions. There's something called ILS category 3B that is used. It is a mode used by pilots landing in poor weather conditions. As a result of the concern over this potentially jammed or restricted rudder control, the regulator has told airlines to cease using instrument landing system category 3B for the moment. This is on the basis of international alerts which have been sounded. And for the moment, it's wait and watch to see what other airlines around the world, what Boeing has to actually say about this. And then the regulator would issue further guidance. But there are dozens of Boeing 737 aircraft across the country. And while we are showing an image of the Boeing 737 MAX, I can tell you that it impacts all variants of the Boeing 737.
Well, Nestle India has announced that the former Amazon India country head Manish Tiwari is set to become Nestle India's MD from the 1st of August 2025. Now, he's set to take over from Suresh Narayan, who served in the position since August 2015. And Sessa joins in with more details. So, Sessa, of course, Manish Tiwari does have a background of serving in FMCGs before this. So, give us an overview of how this change is likely to affect Nestle.
Nestle India's chairman and managing director Suresh Narayanan is retiring from the company in July next year, and he will be succeeded by Manish Tiwari, who is currently a director at Amazon Digital Services. He was in fact the country manager of Amazon until recently. Suresh Narayanan has dedicated 26 years at Nestle Group and drove the company out of several crises, such as the Maggi ban, which resulted in substantial financial losses and a tarnished reputation. Now, under Suresh Narayanan's leadership, Nestle India managed to swiftly recover sales and regain much of its market share. Manish Tiwari, on the other hand, the incoming managing director, brings nearly 3 decades of experience in the e-commerce and consumer goods sectors. Prior to Amazon, he spent 20 years at Unilever in various roles. Tiwari's appointment now not only marks a change in leadership, but all eyes will be on who will take over as the chairman of Nestle India, a decision that the board has yet to finalize.
Well, the former Tata Sons chairman Ratan Tata has dispelled rumours about his health, saying that he is in hospital for a routine checkup and that there is no cause for concern. He's currently undergoing a routine medical checkup due to age-related conditions. And the coming days are going to be big for Haryana as well as Jammu and Kashmir. The assembly election results are expected to be announced tomorrow, and it does at this point in time seem that the Congress party has an edge. And here's what Pradeep Gupta, the chairman of Access My India, has said about the exit polls that have come in for these two states.
Each state has different political dynamics, so it definitely varies from the national dynamics for sure. And when it comes to Haryana, the beauty of Haryana is that in 10 years back, BJP came to power with 33% vote share and they secured 46 seats. In 5 years back, BJP vote share increases to 36.8 to be precise, and their seat share reduced from 46 to 40. And this time in our exit poll, Access My India exit poll, it looks like BJP is likely to secure around 35% vote share. And seat share is reducing drastically this time.
Well, as the Gaza war reaches its one-year mark, the conflict between Israel and the Hezbollah continues to intensify along the Lebanese border. Over 400 Hezbollah fighters have been killed since the war began, with Israel expanding its bombardment in Lebanon as well. On Saturday, Israeli airstrikes targeted Beirut's southern suburb. They launched a dozen strikes in the area and for the first time, also hitting a Palestinian refugee camp in northern Lebanon. Local media reported that Israeli warplanes carried out 4 strikes in southern Beirut. And tensions in the Middle East have caused a sharp rise in crude oil prices. There are concerns over the potential for an Israeli assault on Iran's oil infrastructure. Brent crude rose towards $80 per barrel. Brent climbed by more than 8% last week, while WTI soared by 9.1% on the possibility that Israel could strike Iranian oil infrastructure. Well, there is good news for Mumbaikars. As the first underground metro service, the Aqua Line is officially being opened to the public. Mumbai Metro Line 3 connects the Bandra Kurla complex to the RA colony. Starting today, services will run from 6:30 in the morning to 10:30 at night through Saturday, with a slightly later start at 8:30 in the morning on Sundays. Now, the Aqua Line brings an advanced travel option to the city, with the Prime Minister launching the Metro Connect 3 app. It's important to note that the RA colony station on the Red Line is not interchangeable with the RA JVLR station on the Aqua Line, as the two are located at different points. Here's more on this.
बहुत अच्छा लगा है, वो कम टाइम में जल्दी जा रहा हो. पहला मेरे को 1.5 घंटा जाना पड़ता था, अभी 20 मिनट में पहुंच रहा हूँ मैं. बहुत अच्छा.
People are giving very positive response towards this metro. What would you like to say? You're traveling in this stretch for the first time. कैसा लग रहा है आपको? बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है हमारे इंडिया के अंदर, और फर्स्ट बम्बई के अंदर अंडरग्राउंड मेट्रो लाइन बनी है. दिल्ली में तो पहले है, मगर बम्बई में भी बहुत ज़रूरी था. बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत एक्साइटेड है, और यहाँ का स्टाफ भी बहुत इज्जत कर रहा है. ट्रैफिक से कैसी राहत मिलेगी लोगों को? बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छी राहत मिलेगी मैम. रिक्शा, टैक्सी, मेरे को यहाँ से पवई से जाने में 1 घंटा लगता है BKC, तो अभी मुझे लग रहा है मेरे को 10 या 15 मिनट लगेंगे. फर्स्ट टाइम सफ़र कर रहा हूँ तो अभी मालूम चल जाएगा. बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत एक्साइटेड हूँ.
Well, the Zomato CEO, Deepinder Goyal, recently took a unique approach to understand the challenges faced by delivery partners. He stepped out and posed as one of the delivery partners at a mall in Delhi. However, his experience took an unexpected turn when he was denied access to the elevator by mall security, resulting in him having to climb 3 flights of stairs to complete his order pickup. The incident, captured on video, quickly gained traction on the social media, sparking conversations about the treatment of delivery workers. Many netizens voiced their concerns about the lack of facilities and respect for these essential personnel. Well, that's all we have on this edition of Profit 360. Stay with us for more.